Oh, banger.
From the guys who brought you Fight Night picks, and for a short time, hitting above the Mendoza line, comes the Allen Brothers' next project. Let's tear the cover off and join in 15-minute card breaks.
Fight Night Picks is brought to you by Vertiball. Head on over to their website. It's vertiball.com. And listen, it's an awesome product. It's a local company out of New Brunswick, Canada. So make sure you support those guys locally as well as Fight Night Picks. But they're the only mountable portable muscle massager. They can stick onto any smooth surface. They've got an industrial strength suction cup. Can support over 100 pounds of pressure. You can get really into those deep knots. I have one here at home. I use it for my back and my shoulders from holding up that Fight Night Picks Pick'em trophy. But listen, make sure you check them out. It's a great product. Like I said, they're recommended by physiotherapists, masseuses, and chiropractors across Canada, the US, UK, and Australia. And they're used by countless professional athletes like Minka Fitzpatrick on screen there, as well as Clellan Farrell of the Raiders. So if you head into the cart, make sure you check them out. So I've got a Vertiball massager in my cart right there. Use the promo code FNP. You're going to save 10% off your order. You're supporting this company here that I'm very passionate about in New Brunswick, Canada, and you're helping out us as well. So make sure you check them out, vertiball.com, promo code FNP, 10% off your order. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, recorded in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. It's time for Fight Night Picks with your host, Craig and Matt Allen.
And welcome back with Fight Night Picks. We've UFC 265, the last fight on the prelims, just about to start. Really want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're catching it after the fact, I appreciate you as well. We got Spenny from Kenney and Spenny, I'm assuming, with Spencer Rice over there in the chat saying, let's go. But Bobby Green and Fiziev kicking us off. Of course, this won't be your regular view, but we were just so excited to get moving and shaking, Matt. I can't wait for this fight. Fiziev, Bobby Green. Could it be a striker's paradise? Could Bobby Green implement the wrestling so far early on? Fiziev opening up with the kicks.
Yeah, I honestly think Fiziev's going to be throwing a very kick-heavy offense in this game, and it'll be interesting. Like, Bobby Green does talk a lot of crap in the cage. He's not at, like, the Diaz level for it, but he is someone who plays around a lot in there. It'll be interesting to just see how Fiziev reacts to a guy who will be talking to him while he's in there. Again, I don't think that's going to be, like, the X factor for this fight, but always a little mental hurdle that you have to get over. And with Fiziev, can he defend the takedown attempts from Bobby Green? That really is the question, because if Bobby Green can hit his first takedown, then I fully expect him to go back to that well over and over and over again. So the story of this fight comes down to how well can Fiziev defend the takedowns of Bobby Green, and does Bobby Green have an answer for the leg kicks of Fiziev?
Bobby Green implementing a nice 1-2 right down the pipe, working it in. I mean, with Fiziev, you have to worry about all the different facets of Bobby Green's game, and Green so far making a good account of himself.
Yeah, he has done really well in these striking exchanges so far. Again, it will be interesting to see what happens when those leg kicks and body shots do start to accumulate and how well he does look in the third round. But so far, he's done a good job making Fiziev miss. And that was one of our keys going into this week, was if he can frustrate Fiziev during this fight, maybe he will start to be able to find some of his own offense as it continues.
About a minute 30 so far into the fight. Both guys kind of having their own successes. With Bobby Green, it's those straight shots down the middle. With Fiziev, it's the kicks. He's kind of working on the outside, bobbing, weaving, in and out. You got Bobby Green just kind of planting, throwing those 1-2s right down the middle.
Yeah, but Green's doing a good job throwing a combination. Again, the thing that I hate the most in MMA is when guys are single strikers. When they don't have crazy power like Francis Ngannou, and they just seem kind of happy to, oh, I'll throw one straight right here and there. At least Bobby Green is throwing his punches in combination when he is throwing them. But for Fiziev, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen that left hook to the body yet. That's a technique that he goes for quite a bit, and it is something that normally he throws early on in his fights.
Hands down from Bobby Green, kind of egging Fiziev on. It'll be interesting, too. I mean, you got the guy out of California in green, Mr. Shoulder Roll King. You got a lot of nice combos there from Fiziev, and this is a guy that spent a lot of time in camp getting ready for this fight at Sanford MMA, too.
Which is probably the best gym in the world right now. Like, I know gyms kind of go through ups and downs, but Sanford MMA started from the bottom, and now they're definitely not at the bottom anymore. So for Sanford, with a guy like Fazeev, who has such a great wealth of knowledge with the striking anyways, now he's with guys like Gilbert Bernstein practices grappling defense with, like, I think it was a perfect move. It was kind of like what Brennan Allen with there. It was just a good athlete and a good gym kind of coming together.
Nice counter there from Green, but I mean, this, just like our last fight, pretty difficult to score. I mean, we're about 3 minutes into our first round. Green and Fazeev at lightweight. Both guys, again, having successes early. And now it's Fazeev looking to kind of corner off Bobby Green. Green whipping his hand out there.
But the problem is Green is eating shots every time he is leading the offense. He's a good counter striker, but when he's the one moving forward, Fazeev will start to get his timing, and when he turns his back and runs like this, you're going to get caught by a big shot eventually.
The Alistair Overeem defenses only work for so long, and then you have to take on a really tough out and fight in Glory Kickboxing.
Yeah, exactly.
Rico Verhoeven.
Yikes, I don't think that's going to go well for old Reem.
But 1:30 remaining in the round. Nice left down the pipe for Bobby Green, but beforehand he ate 2 or 3 on
This thing with Fazeev, he has good technique, but he's a fan of his own technique sometimes. Like, he'll throw his kicks and leave his hands down by his waist. He's not a guy who puts his hands up when he does throw his own kicks, and that's something Bobby Green is making him pay for.
Fazeev is starting to style here, dipped himself away from a left hand, eats one in the shoulder, but good defenses so far from Fazeev. But again, one of these evades you, you're in a little bit of trouble. Fazeev is feeling it.
He really is. And again, now he's starting to get his confidence and starting to get his range. And Bobby Green's retaliating with some really good strikes himself. And I'm honestly surprised that Bobby Green is having this much success in the stand-up at this point. I thought we'd see at least one takedown attempt by now, if not 2 or 3.
Bobby Green looking to move forward here. But again, eating kicks off the body, off of the arms. And again, you consider it a little bit of a block, but at the same time, can't feel good getting whipped in those appendages.
Much rather get hit in the shoulder, though, than the head. And that's the weird thing about Bobby Green. Like, he's just a frustrating guy to be in there with. He's making you miss. He's making fun of you when you do miss. And I don't think he's got crazy punching power, but he's definitely a guy who can make you pay for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Aha, Phoenix is feeling it. You're saying 5 pay-per-view cards in a row with a broken limb stoppage. Of course, Leonardo, between the second and third rounds, had the broken arm. It was a weird one, too. Doctor going in, grabbing it. Is it really broken? Yeah, I can still fight. No. This one's over. But for Ed Herman, with the old Rory McDonald calf, they let him continue on. That was one heck of a fight.
Frank Mir said he could keep on fighting against Tim. Tim Sylvia said he could keep on fighting against Frank Mir. He still shouldn't have.
That much is true. End of our first round, Fazeev, Bobby Green. On my scorecard, I get a 10-9 Fazeev, but it was a close competitive round.
It was, and again, Bobby Green landed clean shots, and if he is able to really sit down on one of those and hurt Fazeev, the fight will look a lot different. Because here's the thing, if Fazeev's having success in the striking, that's kind of what we all expect. It's not like his plan B is to go and start shooting takedowns. Bobby Green's the one who, if he does decide to do so, can start shooting at takedowns, can try to make this a grappling match and not just a striker's paradise kind of fight like we expected it would be.
Disc is saying, we screwed you last week. Raffle was a joke. Disco. This week's a new week. There's not much I can say. I started the video off this week kind of poking fun at myself. You got to have a little bit of levity. And Matt, we've got all that and more in this fight. Rafael Fazeev taking on Bobby Green. I mean, it's been a striker's paradise so far in this fight, which is what you expected in the second round. Doesn't really look like Green's going for the takedowns.
Well, the second round hasn't started yet. Yeah, it'll be really interesting, and I'm assuming that's what his corner has been telling Bobby Green. Like, hey, mix it up a little bit. At least throw in a clinch here and there. Because with Bobby Green, he's not the type of wrestler who can go out there and just start stringing together single leg takedowns. He does just go for a lot of double legs, and he landed a couple nice shots to begin the second round.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely unfortunate last week. With Garcia, if you do want it, I mean, he poured it on in the first round, almost finished Gritzmacher, and then that was about it.
Fazeev, really nice right hand over the top. For Bobby Green, it's interesting. Now we see him start throwing a little bit of clinch. He's not just striking with Fazeev at range.
Green controlling the center of the octagon here, getting backed up, just little steps each time here.
But again, he's in a lot of body kicks, and you have to think that those are going to start to accumulate, and they're going to hurt his cardio at a certain point. But it's weird, with a guy like Bobby Green, and I guess I'm really opening this up to you, would you invest a lot in the body since his cardio is so good? Like, you're going to take his great cardio, maybe bring it down to good, but it's still probably going to be better than yours no matter what you do.
It's going to be a really tricky one for either guy in this one. Again, Fazeev's doing a great job. Now he's starting to read those single shots, moving in and out of the way. Whereas before, Green was doing a great job pushing the pace, landing the 1-2. Now he's almost on the back foot, or he's caught flat-footed, and he can't really land with that accuracy that he had earlier.
With Green, this is interesting. They brought up the stat. I think it was, 2013 was his last stoppage. Again, I don't really know where I put his punching power in this division, because he has landed clean on Fiziev a few times, and it does look to somewhat stun him, but he's never really been able to land a shot that puts him down. Against Lando Venata, he was able to drop him, and listen, Lando is probably not the most durable guy in the UFC, but still, we've seen Lando Venata eat some big shots with some really good fighters, so I never really know where to gauge Bobby Green's finishing ability and punching power in the lightweight division.
It really is tricky again in this second round here. Green's starting to get picked apart with some of these kicks, walking around with his head down. It's an odd game plan.
Classic King Bobby Green, though, and this is the fighter who we did see when he was in the top 15. Like, with Bobby Green, there is kind of a playfulness to the way that he does fight, and it always seems like he's at his best the more he is flowing. Because for him, like, fighting's not a serious thing, so for him, the more he is talking trash to, and the more Fiziev's responding back to him, almost kind of helps Bobby Green.
Fiziev doing a good job backing him up. Looked like he hurt him with a right hand in that exchange. Hurts him bad with a right hand.
Hit him with a really big right hook up against the cage, but again, that could just be like the weird wonky movement of Bobby Green, because he does roll with shots.
Bobby Green does a good job of rolling with it. Nice left hand there from Fiziev. He's starting to kick with power. And again, this is a guy, kickboxing coach over at Tiger Muay Thai. He's kind of trained at Sanford. He's gotten ready for this fight over in Vegas a little bit. Now, he's one of those guys showed up a few weeks early. And it's always neat to see fighters acclimatizing themselves that way. But for Fiziev, man, he's starting to land. Bobby Green now.
But when Fiziev's landing, it'll be like one clean shot, and then he does hit a lot of arms afterwards. And Bobby Green might only land 2 okay shots, but it is really interesting. I didn't think Bobby Green would have nearly this much success in the striking exchange with a guy like Fiziev. I thought he'd be shooting for a lot more takedowns, personally.
You got Fiziev doing a good job. Now he's moving him forward. 3 minutes into our round, and again, a couple of nice counter shots there from Fiziev. Bobby Green still trying to land those straights, but it's been more one and done here in the second round for him.
It really has been. And for Fiziev, it's really weird. Again, he's the guy who's known for his technique. We talk about his technique all the time. You can get him to brawl a little bit, and that might be a weakness that we do see from Fiziev if he does crack into that top 15. And listen, Fiziev versus Dan Hooker is not a fight that I'm saying should be made next week, but that's just a fight that we could see one day. Against those upper echelon guys, I am starting to worry about Fiziev's, maybe hitability is not the right word, but there's a few signs that I think Fiziev could fight to a higher ceiling than what he's displayed so far in this fight.
Winner of this fight, to me, it all depends on the fighting future, the man himself, New York's finest real estate agent. But I like Quinta's guy that I always think of when we're talking 20 to 15 guy, and he hasn't been around for very long, or we haven't seen him in very long. He was over in Georgia hanging out with Sterling. Ooh, another nice right hand lands for Fiziev. But, yeah, I mean, both of these guys just slugging it out. I mean, we talk about possible potential fight of the nights. This was one on the radar. Wasn't in our top 2, but these guys are giving it their all.
And Fiziev is starting to slow down a little bit. Like, when he's throwing his shots, he's really loading up on them as he lands some really nice strikes up against the cage. And Bobby Green, again, he is the much fresher fighter right now. It's interesting to see Fiziev's the one going for the clinch and not Bobby Green.
You've got Fiziev clinching up here. Again, 38 seconds remaining in the round. Wanted to start early to kind of just talk about and break down this feature prelim because this is one that nobody wanted to miss out. Everybody over there in the chat, I mean, I'd be eager if we make it to the end of the second round. Who have you scored this one for so far?
It really has been a back and forth fight. I mean, it's one of those ones, personally, I gave first round to Fiziev, but this second round, it has been interesting. Fiziev started out really strong, but as it's progressed, Bobby Green's starting to have more and more success.
Bobby Green doing a good job here in the last minute or so. We got less than 10 seconds remaining in the round. Can one guy do something to seal it? Nice knee on the inside for Green. Lands a couple of nice shots. For me, I've got a 20-18 for Fiziev. I thought he did enough work throughout the round, as well as landing up against the cage when he backed up Bobby Green, just tossing in those right hands. Phoenix has it for Fiziev so far.
But I think we both agree to this. It's 2018, I agree with you. But the third round could be very interesting by the body language Fiziev had in that last 30 seconds. Like, if Bobby Green starts out that last round really strong, like he did the last minute and a half of that second round, then we very well could be seeing, like, one of those, you know, draws or 28-28 cards. Like, this has been a really interesting fight so far.
206 Hooper saying Fiziev's kind of slowing down, but have it 2-0 for him.
Agree.
If we have a look at Fight Night picks going into this fight, 81% had Fiziev to get the win. Only 19% going with Bobby Green. That was 513 total votes. Fiziev to 122 for Bobby Green. Will Kyle saying 20-18. Spenny runs 19-19 as we get into our third and final round. Man, this has been one of the best fights all night. We've had some great finishes. We've had a couple of, barn burners. I mean, geez, Alonzo Menefield poured it on poor old Ed Herman. Took the foot off the gas a little bit in the third round. Picked up a really big win there. getting set for our third and final round. A couple of premier strikers in this division. And for Bobby Green, this guy that's hung around forever, but he's had competitive fights against some of the best guys this division's really seen.
Bobby Green's kind of like the lightweight Andre Arlovsky without the, former champion status. He was in the top 15, went on a big losing streak. People thought he was irrelevant, but when you're in there with Bobby Green, you have a really hard night. And is he great at anything? Well, maybe not, but he's a really well-rounded MMA fighter. And for Fiziev, with all the hype in the world, he's starting to show some holes in his MMA game.
Starting to load up on some of his shots. I mean, you saw that in the exchange in the pocket between these two guys. It was phone booth fighting, and Fiziev took a long time to try and land his right hand. Those live odds, minus 1,000 for Fiziev. So there has to be a lot of confidence in the fact that he was able to take those first two.
Yeah, without a doubt. But again, for Bobby Green, this is kind of his game. He's been here before. It is interesting. When he is landing his boxing combinations, Fiziev's kind of stationary, and he is able to land some, but you can just tell there's an obvious power difference between these guys.
Fiziev's starting to land right here. Bobby Green's accepting it, but a guy that, best defense, put your hands down.
He does, again, he rolls with the shots well. A guy like Chris Weidman is very stiff when he eats punches, so...
eating kicks like a mule.
He has eaten a lot of those front leg kicks, but again, Bobby Green, tougher than a $2 steak.
Fiziev is putting everything in the kitchen sink into these, but a nice left hook to the body from Bobby Green, one of your favorite shots you love to see in MMA. We had an earlier finish where it was left hook to the body that's set up earlier on this card, UFC 265, the prelims. It's been a great night so far of fights. 3:22 remaining in our third round. These guys are going at it. Phoenix is a little bit worried about good old Adelaide Bird. And the Texas judging, it all depends on how you saw that last fight. That was a really close one between Morales and Rodriguez, but we got a barn burner going on here.
Yeah, this fight's been really good so far. For Fiziev, he's done enough not to lose. For Bobby Green, he's really going to push the action right now. You're probably down 0-2. If you win this third round, it still might not be enough, but you might as well push it and go for broke.
Yeah, you've got so far, big reactions out of Green there when he was getting hit by some of the bigger shots of Fiziev. But again, he's landed volume as this one's gone on. You have to wonder how that ends up factoring into the judge's decision as we see the stats in front of us there from the first two rounds and the live total of our last third. And really, Green up 8 total strikes here.
But this is the problem that they don't talk about on the UFC broadcast. It needs to be brought up. Not all significant strikes are created equal. If I hit you and rock you up against the fence, that's worth a lot more than if you just land the glancing left hook on me. Yes, both might be significant in their nature, but there's levels to significant strikes. You just can't take the numbers for their value.
Yeah, you've got Fiziev backing up Green here. 2:10 remaining in the third round. Again, now we've got just full-on Muay Thai from Fiziev. He's starting to land some pressure kicks, heavy kicks to Bobby Green, who's now throwing that pressure 1-2 again, starting to land for himself.
It's interesting. Once Fiziev does settle into range and start throwing some of his own strikes, that's when Green does seem to land one big shot, and it kind of takes Fiziev 30, 45 seconds to sort of reset and get back into his groove.
Fiziev doing a good job here, landing the kicks. Bobby Green walks away from a tough shot there. Have to wonder if he's trying to pressure Fiziev into something, but again, no counters there. It's just a walk away.
Well, just to get away from the cage. Either put your back up against the cage and get bombed on, or try to move. And for Bobby Green, it has worked so far. Again, you'd like to see him maybe check a leg kick or answer it with a straight shot, but again, very interesting fight.
Bobby Green starting to push a little bit of a pace. He's whipping that jab out there. 1, 2, 3 straight shots in a row.
Those big body kicks from Fiziev, though, they have got to hurt.
There was an entire body breath from Fiziev after he threw his last kick there, and you get the total number of strikes. They are very close. Bobby Green starting to pull away in the third round in terms of total strikes, but it all depends on their significance and how the judges saw the first 2 rounds.
Exactly. That's something they act like if you throw more significant strikes in the third round, then the judges don't care what happened in the first 2. Every round is scored individually. I don't what happens in the third round.
Ooh, head kick from Fiziev.
Has nothing to do with that happened in the first, but I feel like Fiziev's probably up at least 2-0. He's looked really good in the third round too. I thought he looked a lot more tired in between rounds, but he's made a fairly good account of himself here in this third.
Ooh, Fiziev starting to land some of those power shots. And we've seen that a little bit more impactful from Fiziev, but Bobby Green continues again to land the jab, to land the cross, switching stances a little bit, but more of that's just due in part to the leg kicks of Fiziev.
Exactly, and again, for Bobby Green, I expected a lot more takedown attempts in this fight, but he has had some success on the feet where I didn't think he'd have any.
You've got Bobby Green. He continues to try an ole here. Fiziev's just about done. Fiziev eats a big right hand.
Yeah, he did. He is very tired right now.
He's absolutely done, and that gas tank is spent. Bobby Green running away from the fight. But Matt, when we're scoring that one, I get a 29-28 Fiziev round 1 and 2. Bobby Green took that third round big time.
Round 1 was close, though, and honestly, if this was a split decision like 29-28 Bobby Green, 29-28 Fiziev, 29-28 Fiziev, I could see there being an argument for it, if I'm being completely honest, but I do think Fiziev did enough to win that fight.
I mean, again, 81% of the fans over on Fight Night Picks had it for Fiziev. Jonathan over in the chat has it for Green. Let us know in the chat, who did you score that fight for? Because, I mean, it was a close one. It was a great one. It was one of the best ones we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, that was a really great fight. And again, this is a really important fight, too. Like, the winner of this next opponent is probably in the top 15, or at least a borderline top-tier fighter. So, it'll be really interesting to see who the winner gets matched up with moving
Spenny
forward.
Runs just needed it to go to decision. You got it. Cash it. Same praying decision earlier on. Fiziev has the hat on. Will it be a celebratory hat? We'll find out. 206 Hooper is saying 2-1 Fiziev, please. And you get those total strike numbers way far and away in the favor of Bobby Green in that third round. First round, second round close, but again, it was a lot of those more significant strikes that you saw. And again, these are significant strikes, but the more impactful, the strikes that would kind of cause a bit more of a stir with the judge coming from Fiziev in rounds 1 and 2.
I think round 1 was close. I do. He didn't hurt Bobby Green in the first round. Like, he hurt Green in the second round. So I would give Fiziev that round.
All right.
Again, I think
Buffer's
round
here.
1 was really close, so you could give this fight either way.
We got Bruce Buffer in the cage. Phoenix saying 29-28 for Fiziev. Jacob Montalvo is going to raise somebody's hand. Let's see who it is. Shouts to the tattoo artist. Buffer making the call. Sean V saying 29-28 Bobby Green. Fiziev is your winner. 30-27.
I don't know about that.
I don't know what the rest is. 29-28, 29-28 winner by unanimous decision. Matt, it was a great fight. Bobby Green's got his arms up. I mean, a 30-27 is kind of ridiculous, and the chat's saying as much.
Yeah, Bobby Green honestly had a claim to maybe winning that fight. I thought that was a much closer fight than those judges' scorecards would have suggested. So, again, good win for Fiziev, but he didn't show me anything I didn't know about him coming into this fight. I still think he's a good striker. I don't love his cardio. I didn't see enough of his grappling to really change my opinion on it. So, if he is able to call out like an Ally Quinta next, that'd be a really good name. That'd be a really big spot for him. But again, I don't really think Fiziev did enough for me to really completely change my opinion on him. I think he will be in the top 15 one day. I don't think he'll be in the top 10. I don't want to predict he'll be in the top 10, I should say. It's just, he's an interesting fighter, I should say. But there's starting to be holes in his game, the higher level of competition that he does fight.
Matt, I mean, a big-time fight there. Longest active win streak. Well, it's a paltry win streak in comparison to your champ, Charles Oliveira, who's got 9 in a row. But Fiziev up there with Ismagulov, who... little bit of conversation around whether he won his last fight or not, and Brad Riddell with 4. You got 2 former Tiger Muay Thai striking coaches tied right there. What are your thoughts?
That'd be a really fun fight to see. I know I'd pay money to watch it, but again, I think the Ally Quinta fight is the one to go. Fiziev's been calling out Ally Quinta for what feels like 3 years now, so it would just make a lot of sense. It's like when you heard Lonzo Ball go to the Chicago Bulls. Heard that for about 3 years. You just kind of assumed it would happen eventually. Same thing with Fiziev facing Ally Quinta. You're just like, okay, it's probably going to happen. I'm assuming they do it next.
All right, Matt. Well, we will flip it on over to our typical and traditional view. Here we are. Now, listen, a lot of people over there in the comments section, they're saying, hey, we got to have the denim on denim. Where's the Canadian tuxedo? I'm getting ready. And we're going to get ready because, listen, it's going to be a return to live events. And, I mean, for me, it's an opportunity to go to New England fights. It's an opportunity to cover the UFC like we did back in 2018 when they were in our neck of the woods. And I can't wait because FLA 2, it's going to be coming up later on in September. If I'm not mistaken, I'll pull up the Topology page. It's going to be back in Truro again. Can't wait for that one. And the last card, they had the likes of Jesse Arnett on there. They had Jimmy Smith doing commentary. So hopefully we can get over there. I know Kat extended the invitation, and unfortunately I was in Maine getting ready for that. But, and listen, on that card, it was Manny Bermudez and Bruce Boynton. Couldn't wait for that one. But overall, absolutely love this card. And I can't wait because Cyril Gane has one tough test in the hometown guy, Derek Lewis. You've seen the highlight reel knockouts, the Oleinik fight, the Volkov fight, the Tybura fight, the Abdurakhimov fight. I can just continue to list them off, but I can't wait to see what we're going to get out of Derek Lewis in this one, because you know there's going to be power, there's going to be that just get up attitude, and from Cyril Gane, technique like no other at heavyweight. I can't wait for this fight.
And I didn't know we were dressing up until right before we started shooting. This should be an interesting main event, but again, the breakdown for every Derek Lewis fight is, well, he's not as technical as his opponent. His cardio is probably worse. He has less output. Oh, wait, but if he hits you with one shot, he's going to knock you out. So for Derek Lewis, it'll be an interesting fight because he does have surprisingly good heavyweight cardio, and he does have power that really lasts. I think he will land at least one big shot on Cyril Gane. But again, for Gane, it's really going to come down to the footwork and his ability to be in and out of range consistently. For Gane, I just think his cardio is a little bit too good for Derek Lewis. And I do think if he mixes in the takedown, not for submission's sake, but just to mix it up. Make Derek Lewis not be comfortable on the feet. Don't let him be comfortable in front of the home crowd. I really think that is the key to this fight. But I could not be more excited. Really for this whole card, top to bottom, especially the main card. The co-main event is Jose Aldo and Pedro Munoz. They gave us Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz 5-round fights. If I could somehow call Dana White right now, I would tell him to give us 10 more minutes of that co-main event. That's how excited I am for that fight.
I mean, can't wait for it. Let's whip on through this card. Jennifer hanging out over in the chat. Jonathan, a little jilted, I guess, about the 30-27. Diego Casas is here, FS99, saying Craig Buffer. And yeah, can't wait for it. Diego saying if you're home, step away and throw on a suit. There is one in the closet. Maybe we'll see it pop out, but it is warm as all get out in this room. A lot of people not cool with the 30-27. Again, we had a 29-28 for Fizib, but you could have made even an argument about the first round. But when we're talking about this card, Matt, Sung Yadong taking on Casey Kenney. If there's a chance that we're split on a pick, there's a chance that this fight's going to deliver. I can't wait for it because for Casey Kenney, is he going to invest in the kicks early? Is he going to go with his boxing? Because if he does go with his boxing, that's pretty well the bread and butter of Sung Yadong. I think either way you slice it, no matter where this fight goes, this should be a competitive one.
This could be a really, really fun fight because we've seen Sung Yadong fight wrestlers in the past, but Casey Kenney's a little bit different. He's a wrestler who became a striker, who still has the wrestling credentials. We just haven't really seen them as much as maybe we'd like to. And for Casey Kenney, my big issue is the fact that he loads up on his shots. And I think the wrestling is always going to be there for him. If he really has to go and try to get a takedown, I think he'll be able to get it against Sung Yadong. It's not like the 4-minute point. I think Casey Kenney's going to reach a point of exhaustion to where the takedown won't be as easy to get on Sung Yadong. I still think technique will be there, and maybe he trips him, he might get him down, there might be a scramble, but I think at that point Sung Yadong will be able to get back up to his feet. Throughout the second round, if Sung Yadong can stay on his feet, I think he'll be able to box up Casey Kenney in this fight, but it really does come down to the cardio of Casey Kenney.
Let us know over in the comments section who you're taking between Sung Yadong and Casey Kenney. Be sure, as always, to toss a like. Those are free. We're going to be hanging out with you during the entire main card. And over there in the comments section, you don't want to get blocked, but that was a rigged outcome. Bobby outlanded him. All I'll say, Michael, is he definitely outlanded him in the third round. But the first and the second, they were close. Fizib landing some of those power shots. Green kind of reacting to them the way that you might not like to see it. But I can't wait for this fight. This one should be a great one, Matt. Our next one, we got to whip through these because we know how these pay-per-views work. We get invested in some of these main card fights, and they just move quickly. You got Tecia Torres taking on one really tough out in Angela Hill. This one is the rematch, and in the first fight, it was Tecia Torres picking up the decision win. Angela Hill, she's added different wrinkles to her game. She's really kind of gone through the ringer. She had to go back to Invicta, become the champ, make it back into it. I can't wait for this fight. What are you saying here?
For Tecia Torres, she's done everything but fight for the title. Like, one of the more accomplished fighters in this division didn't ever fight for the title. And for her, it's always, okay, you fight that next level fighter, you're not able to beat them. And for a little while, they were just feeding her, like, top tier strawweights. And we figured out, okay, Tecia Torres is one of those perennial contender types. But I think she's going to be able to do enough to beat a fighter like Angela Hill. Angela Hill's weird because I really like watching her fight. I think she's a very fun fighter to watch. I like a lot about her. But she's never really beaten a top-tier fighter. And that's the weird thing. She's been given a lot of opportunities. People aren't going to like what I'm about to say. But it is true. Like, none of her wins are over that great of fighters. She's just blowing the doors off of unranked fighters and losing close fights to ranked fighters. So I think Angela Hill's a big opportunity tonight to at least change that opinion of her. But I think Tecia Torres is going to be able to get the win.
Phoenix, keep feathering it, brother, over there in the comments section. But this should be an interesting one. And I bet there's going to be some conversations as to facing someone like a Yan Xiaonan who's coming off a loss, or maybe you want somebody with a win. Maybe you want like a Marina Rodriguez up there. But a lot of conversation as to who the winner of this fight could face in a moving strawweight division, and the average age out of the 4 strawweights on this card, 35 years old. Kind of crazy to think of it that way, Matt. Our next fight, Chiesa, Luque. We were together on the pick at the start of the week. We're split now. I ended up taking Chiesa, but I can't wait for this one because can Luque pull out a defensive submission? Can he go full Muay Thai artist out of Brazil, where he has been training for this one out of Cerrado MMA? And can Michael Chiesa make those adjustments where he's been training out of Syndicate? Can he make the adjustments in terms of getting this fight to the clinch, not leaving himself out there and getting the takedown and being positionally aware enough to get the win over Luque? Such a tight competitive fight. I can't wait.
Vicente Luque did one really important thing in his last fight that I think is going to tell the whole story in this one. He did defend a takedown from Tyron Woodley, and he did turn his back off the cage from Tyron Woodley, and that's really going to be the key. If he gets his back stuck up against the cage against Michael Chiesa, then Chiesa can just waste minutes, and it won't allow Luque to at least be striking in range. The good thing about Luque is he won't always be working behind his jab, but he just throw a lot of leg kicks, he just throw a lot of volume, and he does have a unique combination of volume and power. And I do think that if he gets any kind of separation for, 3 minutes even, I think he'll be able to accumulate enough damage to at least affect Michael Chiesa so that there's a lesser version of Michael Chiesa. But again, it really does come down to Luque's ability to get his own back off of the cage. And I don't even mind him at Cerrado leaving Sanford. He looked good against Tyron Woodley. I know he ate a big shot, and you know what he did after that? Slipped 7 punches, landed a huge combination, and basically knocked out Tyron Woodley and choked him out. So...
Go ahead.
Oh, so I still think we're going to see the best version of Vicente Luque. And this fight's not a title eliminator, but you know the winner of this fight is in for a huge fight.
Winner of this fight and Hamzat, maybe. Or maybe the winner of Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler. No, I'm just kidding. I can't wait for it. Hot dogs. Glad you could join us. Rob G saying Casey for the win. And Rob G earlier on in the comments section. I got to go back to it. Harry Kane. I don't know what's going to go on now because, listen, it looked like Man City got their striker, so we'll see what happens, but I don't think Kane's going to be around for much longer, much to my dismay, Matt. Our next fight, we have Jose Aldo taking on Pedro Munoz. Again, I had a hard time on it because I ended up switching over from Munoz to Aldo. Like I said at the start of the week, I was on the fence about Chiesa Luque as well as Aldo Munoz. But I can't wait for this one. I think it's going to be a good opportunity for those among us that are going to bet live on it. But for me, I'm just going to sit back. It's a pop and popcorn. I can't wait for it. Walker Scott with the super chat. Fun start to the night. Listen, we're rolling so far. I mean, we doubled, tripled, quadrupled, and then some from the one that we got right last weekend. So it's only up from there.
Exactly.
We're back to normal tonight, and I can't wait for this one, Matt. But Jose Aldo, Pedro Munoz, what a great fight.
It should be 10 minutes longer, though, and that would make the night so much better, because Pedro Munoz and Jose Aldo have 5-round type fighting styles, and for Pedro Munoz, I think he can finish Jose Aldo, but I don't know if he can, because Aldo does have good durability. I know Petr Yan stopped him, I know Max Holloway stopped him, but those guys have this massive accumulation of volume that they have in a fight to where they just whittle you down to where you have no cardio and you don't really have anything left. Pedro Munoz isn't that type of a fighter. He does have a very high level of volume, don't get me wrong, but he does rely on his power a lot more than a guy like Max Holloway or even a guy like Petr Yan, to be completely honest, even though Yan does have that kind of power. So for Aldo, I think he does throw some of those pitter-patter strikes and then throw a big left hook to the body or throw a really powerful leg kick afterwards, even a shot up top. I do think those big power shots are going to land for him, and this fight's going to be phenomenal, though.
It should be a great one, and then, of course, in our main event, it's kind of funny because if you listen to any of the promo on the UFC broadcast tonight, it's almost like Derek Lewis, if he gets the knockout, he gets himself an opportunity at the belt. Not really leaving it open to interpretation, no decisions, we're not getting a submission. He needs the knockout in this fight, and I think that's an interesting way to market it. The most well-known premier knockout artist in this division, and I can't wait for this fight because we're going to have to see how the defenses hold up of Cyril Gane. He was able to eat some tricky shots there from Alexander Volkov, roll with the punches, end up with the win. This should be a great fight. I love the matchmaking, and Cyril Gane, while he's still very young in his MMA career, definitely deserving of this opportunity.
I have a question for you. How else would you market this, though? For Francis...
Just as a win.
Okay, but even Francis Ngannou, that's all they say when he fights. It's he's going to win by knockout, and that's it. So I don't know if I'd look too much into that. It's just, for Derek Lewis, this being a hometown fight for him, I do think we'll give him somewhat of an advantage. He woke up at his house, drove here in his car, Everything's been normal for Derek Lewis leading up to today, and I do expect, if nothing else, we'll see a 100% version of Derek Lewis. For Cyril Gane, I just think he has too many weapons against a guy like Derek Lewis. Look at the wins Derek Lewis has. Yeah, he's beaten guys like Marcin Debor, he's beaten guys like Shamil Abdurakhimov and Alexander Volkov, but all those guys are still kind of one-trick ponies. I do look at Cyril Gane as, yes, he is a primary striker, but his movement is almost like another thing that he does do. His movement is kind of a defensive tool for him, and I really think that's going to be the key to this fight. I expect Derek Lewis to swing a lot, but I do see him hitting nothing but air for at least a couple of rounds. The interesting thing will be, when does Cyril Gane get comfortable? Because once he gets comfortable, that's when Derek Lewis is really going to get dangerous, and that's what makes this fun so much.
And just like that, we're back. And I think I found the root of all of our evils. But yeah, overall, Casey Kenney looking pretty crisp in this fight. Song Yadong working the boxing. Again, a nice counter hook there from Yadong. It's been an interesting one so far.
There's a lot of Casey Kenney walking into shots, though, on the feet, which you don't love to see. I do like the leg kick so far. Now, unfortunately, we did miss the first couple minutes of this round, so something huge did happen. Let us know, please. But so far, Song Yadong doing a good job on the back foot. But again, surprised we haven't seen Casey Kenney go for more takedown attempts.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been a good one. And apparently we're losing everything. So we're going to try this. We're going to see how this works. We're going to move it down.
Kenney, or Song Yadong go for a big head kick, and then Casey Kenney gets takedown off it. And that's what Kenney needs to do. But wow, Yadong, good job getting back up to his feet. That's something that you really have to watch out for, is the ability of Yadong to get back up to his feet. Something he's been heavily criticized for in the past. Look at the Cody Stamen fight even. So, yeah, for Song Yadong, at least he is showing improvements. That's something I think we can both agree on. Even if a guy loses and comes back, but he looks better, or at least it has improved on something that we thought was a hole before, it's just nice to see. It shows progress in the guy's career.
Spenny, thanks so much. Rob G saying, Song taking this round so far. Why is Kenney not shooting more? I mean, you had Kenney on top of him there for a little bit, but I mean, it's been a great round so far from what we've seen.
And for Kenney, again, it's really weird how he loads up on his kicks, because he has an effective kicking game. It's not a speed-oriented kicking game. He does kick a lot like RDA, as he whiffs on a huge overhand right on there. You like to see the stance switches out of Kenney, though. He is somebody who's not afraid to go orthodox and southpaw, as they both land there. Good combinations from both guys.
Song Yadong doing a good job here so far. Really close fight. We'll do a good job of bringing back the timer for the next round, so let me work at that.
So you guys score that round, because again, I only watched the last 2.5 minutes, but so far it seems like the general consensus is that Song Yadong up 10-9.
Alright, we'll continue fiddling around with these settings. We'll get it back. You hate to see it, but once you work through the issues, then you're good to go. So there we go there. You get the webcam. You get us back in our normal positions. And then we'll flip it on back over to the other screen. And I'll have the timer ready for us. So, yeah, this one so far has been good. Peter Shea helping out the boys, saying 10-9 for Song. Okay. And we are back and ready to go. Cannon saying thank you for the timer. And I'm late. Nice penguin suit. Hey, I'll take it. I'm glad you're late, because you didn't miss any of those technical difficulties that we continue to have. But I think for now we're going to have Rob G hitting us up. Let's bring it on back over. We pop the logo out. And new for this week, I found out how to pause the timer. So that's going to be a huge asset moving forward. Walker Scott saying, my gosh, I'm on a huge delay. Listen, we'll figure it out as we move forward through this one, how delayed we're going to be. But so glad you could be with us. Sean McMinn, kind words. We appreciate it. There we go. We get set for a second round. Song Yadong, Casey Kenney. Kenney working out of that southpaw stance. Song Yadong landing a few shots. The Kenney's won.
And for Song Yadong, it should get easier from this point. Like, Casey Kenney's not known as the guy who gets stronger as the fight progresses. Look, even at his last fight, he is someone who can accumulate a lot of damage early on, and then, his gas thing will just sort of be on par with his opponent by the third round. But for Yadong, it was a great job on him for winning that first round, because I would favor him heavily in that third round if it does make it there.
Song Yadong on Kevin Ioli's scorecard, a 10-9. Over in the chat, F. Smith is saying Kenney 1-0. And for Sean Sheehan, a guy who definitely understands the scoring, not to say that you don't have Smith 99, but he's got it 10-9 for Yadong. It seems like that's a consensus here. Kenney's got to make up for it. And like you said, Kenney's not one of those guys that really seems to get better as the fight goes on. He usually starts to slow down a bit, but a guy that throws a lot of output, big time.
Ate a counter, though.
Big time hammer there from Kenney and a good counter from Yadong.
And that's the thing from Kenney. He'll do all these setups, try to close the distance. He'll land one good shot, and then the speed of Yadong can just kind of make up for all of the setups that Casey Kenney had to do. So I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing Song Yadong move forward a little bit more, because on the back foot, that's when Kenney can get you up against the cage. But he can implement his wrestling a lot more. So for Song, I'd like to see him move forward maybe a little bit more.
All right, so far 3:38 remaining in the round. And for Casey Kenney, doing a good job moving forward in this one, trying to pressure Song Yadong. But again, he said leading into this one, he just wanted to throw down with Song Yadong. And so far, that's what we've gotten out of both of these guys.
Without a doubt. And again, you'd have to expect he mixed in the wrestling at some point. But for Casey Kenney, he hasn't shown those improvements. You know, like this is the same guy who fought Dominic Cruz, if anything. So for Kenney, again, it really comes down to how many of those leg kicks can he land, and is he able to get takedown? But that was a great body shot from Song Yadong. When Song Yadong really gets his boxing going, it is a pleasure to watch.
100%. 2 minutes into the round so far, and boy, oh boy, do we have a good one going right now. Kenney continuing to pressure, continuing to land, but again, the multiple shots here from Song Yadong really winning out.
Yeah, he has been so far. Really interesting fight, because it does feel like Kenny's the one landing the harder shots, but it's just then Yadong will land with 2 or 3 in response. So, again, for Kenney, you'd think he'd mix in the wrestling at some point. Like you would say, he kind of made reference to that earlier this week. Like, oh, I probably should mix it up at some point. We have yet to see him do any of that, though.
Casey Kenney pressuring. About halfway through the round, now Song Yadong kind of on his bike a little bit, moving backwards. Kenney continues to move.
He is landing going backwards, though. That is the important thing. Like, sometimes you'll see a guy move backwards and not do much. At least Song Yadong is one of those active fighters on the back foot.
Yadong starting to land in combination when he plants and throws the old 1-2. And again, you'd think that'd be a stationary target. Good opportunity for Kenney. But listen, I can't stress it enough. It's just odd to see a guy that has the wrestling in his back pocket that chooses not to use it. There it is.
As he goes for a takedown attempt. But again, for Song Yadong, like, the reaction time is there. He's making the improvements. He was a fighter who, hey, he had a hole in his game, and a lot of people tried to expose it, but he's worked really hard on that. And his takedown defense is significantly better than what it once was when he was, 19 years old, first in the UFC? It's kind of ridiculous.
Song Yadong now the favorite in terms of those live odds, but a -145. They flash it up there on screen. F. Smith 99 saying Kenney's been the one pressing the whole fight. I'm going to have to go back tomorrow, watch that first round back just to see. But, man, we've had an absolute barn burner here, and it was a treat having Bobby Green and Fiziev just before this.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal fight, too. And, I mean, this one's been shaping up to be just as good. Song Yadong, really nice combination there. That's really the key for his game. If he can get the jab going, then he lands the right hand. Then when he starts mixing in those body shots along with the boxing combinations, he has a handful to deal with. But for Kenney, just that consistent pressure moving forward, it's really hard to deal with.
Diego Costa saying Kenney's going to finish this fight in the 3rd round. You get the significant strike numbers in both rounds. Song ahead. You have to wonder how the pressure factors into a judge's decision, especially when everything's bigger in Texas. But for Song Yadong, to me, from what I've seen, the latter stage is the first. This 2nd round here, unless Casey Kenney lands something wild, to me, Yadong's running away with this.
It has been a close fight so far, though. Casey Kenney's making a very good account of himself. Both these guys probably should be ranked. It is kind of wild that neither one is. It's just wild to me that Song Yadong was kind of, he was sort of Sage Northcutt. He was very green. People had high expectations for him. But again, who really ever thinks that they're going to turn out? The fact that Song Yadong's been this competitive and he's progressed this much in only, 4 years in the UFC, it's been really impressive.
Both guys starting to land. Now you get a bit of an oddity where Song is the one that engages in the clinch work.
We just want to mix it up at a certain point. I didn't really expect him to just strike a distance for the whole 15 minutes. But again, he's doing a really good job digging those underhooks when Casey Kenney is trying to shoot for the takedown. And again, I thought Kenney would be able to get some more of these takedowns. Just Song Yadong be able to get back up to his feet.
We'll whip it on back over to our regular view. And Matt, so far through this one, we'll pull it down so you can see some of those stats. Song Yadong far and away ahead in terms of striking. And for the majority of this, it's been a striking affair. Jimmy saying, how y'all doing? Jimmy, it's going good so far. I'm happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a return to form for the guys at Fight Night Picks. For Song Yadong so far, looks like he's taking this one. JD's saying it's 1-1. Dallas has it 2-0 for Song. And Girl Dad MMA fan, Ape, saying bad idea for Sung engaging in the clinch. To me, I thought it was a little weird. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
With 10 seconds left in a round, though, who cares?
But that's the difference.
This is the thing. It's not like Alistair Overeem just stands in distance with his opponents. I don't care who you are. You have to mix it up at a certain point. Like, it wasn't that baffling to see, guys.
Way she goes. We get ready for our third and final round. Rob G saying we've got a 1-1. No, Rob.
It's either 1-1 or 2-0 Sung.
Yeah, for me, I guess I'd have it 2-0 for Sung Yadong, but I'm taking everybody's word for it in the chat through the old technical difficulty. Sung Yadong wooing on the crowd. Casey Kenney getting ready for this one, and we are ready for our third and final round here at Bantamweight. A couple of guys that are almost on their way to the top 15. I mean, a couple of guys that took on really tough opponents in their last fight. For Sung Yadong, it was Kyler Phillips. For Casey Kenney, it was Dominic Cruz. And now you get to see these guys take off. I can't wait to see this third round. It's been competitive so far.
It really has been. You know, in a close fight like this, both guys are going to want to try to pull ahead in this third round. And for Yadong, he's done a good job landing at distance so far, but he does have to worry about lunging forward with his strikes. That's when Kenney can time a takedown.
100%. 30 seconds into the round so far. Kenney dips with the left hand.
Good left hook, though, by Sung Yadong. That's the thing. He has that check left hook every single time Casey Kenney tries to close distance. It's a really good counter for the aggression of Kenney.
And you have to love the takedown defense so far of Sung Yadong, who eats a right hook.
Yeah, really nice right hook by Casey Kenney.
Closing in on a minute in. Now we're exchanging kicks. We get a barn burner.
We do it for Casey Kenney. His cardio does seem to be better than it was the Dominic Cruz fight. I know I was really critical of him, but his cardio seems to be holding up in this one. Nice combination, though, landed by Sung Yadong.
Have to see what we're going to get if we have any changes from the MMA lab in this third round, but so far we haven't, and it's been a lot of nice kicks from Sung Yadong.
It has been, and when he's the one landing his kicks, you can just see how much faster he is with throwing them. There is no wind-up. It's just foot to body, foot to body. With Kenney, it's, okay, I'm going to load up my kick, then throw it. And it works, you know, different strokes for different folks. Just you can tell that Sung Yadong's strikes are that much faster.
About a minute and a half into our third and final round, and for Casey Kenney, he's just trying to figure out a way to close some of that distance and start to land, but it's Sung Yadong who continues over and over to land in combination.
And he's doing a great job landing in combination, like you had just said. He's not just being the single strike striker like we've seen from a few other guys tonight. Like you said, he's doing a good job. It's that left hook, right uppercut. And again, that left hook to the body has been open all night.
100%. Now you got Sung Yadong starting to pressure this fight in the third round. Pretty well what we expected so far.
Oh yeah, this fight's delivered basically on all the hype that we had. Again, for Sung Yadong, his boxing at range is going to be a problem for a lot of guys in this division. It's just, he's not...
nice knee lands for Casey Kenney.
That was a really nice knee. Great job timing it from him. But he is oddly hittable for how good his stand-up is, and that's why Sung Yadong should be one of those guys. No matter who he's fighting, it's probably going to be a great fight.
Starting to pick him apart there. You got a higher guard here from Kenney. Eats a shot down the middle on the left from Sung Yadong 2.5 minutes into the round.
And Casey Kenney's defense is somewhat static. He's not like Anderson Silva with 1,000 B's defense. He will just kind of hold his hands up. And when Sung Yadong's throwing a combination, that's where he's finding the holes in Kenny's defense.
And it's kind of funny to see it because you see a lot of people, they put their hands up, you get a straight shot through, but maybe they're good at defending some of those hooks. For Kenney, a straight might get him, he moves, then a hook gets him. It's a little bit tricky when you watch some of his fights. About 2 minutes remaining in the third round.
This is really anyone's fight. It has been a really close fight so far. Good right or good left hand, sorry, by Casey Kenney.
Kenney doing a good job here. And then it's just, again, more in combination from Sung Yadong. You get a deep takedown attempt from Kenney. He's just fishing for whatever he can get. Really in desperation mode here, getting into the later stage of the third round.
Sung Yadong's takedown defense has improved tremendously throughout his UFC tenure.
It really has. Really nice right hand lands for Casey Kenney, but... Again, if you have to look at it in terms of the judge's eyes, to me, it's looking like we're cruising to a 30-27 for the fighter out of China.
Yeah, Sung Yadong's looked phenomenal so far in this fight. And again, for a guy who's 24 to make improvements like this, just in between fight to fight, camp to camp, it's a really promising thing to see if you do have a lot of stock in the Sung Yadong camp. He's someone who, again, a lot of people have like crazy high expectations for him, but I really do feel like we can see Sung Yadong in the top 10 by the midway point of next year.
Cannon, you're synced in with us, and like I said, if we have a stoppage in play, I can hit that pause on the timer. So listen, it was something we never had before. No. It's new to this episode, always trying to add new wrinkles to the game that aren't technical glitches, but yeah, we're here. We're having a good time. We're less than a minute away from the conclusion of this fight, unless we get a finish. But again, from Kenney, Little bit of desperation. The takedown defense so far has held up for Sung Yadong.
Yeah, it really has. And as they show the graphic, he's 3 for 3 to his takedown defense. It feels better than that, though, because he's not getting into grappling sequences, even on the feet. It's just, okay, I'll meet you with my hips, and then we disengage, and now I'm back in open space.
Kenny's still going for some of those takedowns for Yadong. He's starting to rip the body, doing a good job here in this third and final round. And again, this is a guy, like you said, he's going to pose issues for anybody that he faces moving forward, and I would have to think it's going to be a ranked opponent next if he gets a win.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Again, the winner of this should have that 15 number next to their name by the end of next week.
Yeah, good job there from both guys. Surprised Kenney didn't pick up Sung Yadong off the canvas after that when you have an absolute war, but to each his own. Kenny's cut after that one. He's having a good time. Again, if we're looking back, we'll pop the logo up there. We'll move it on over to the second screen. You look at it. Kenny's able to get the takedown at the very end. Nicholas saying that you can't believe Kenney won. I don't think there's a realm of possibility where he won unless he got the first and maybe somehow the third. But to me, yeah, I don't see it.
I don't see there being a realm of possibility, then bring up a situation in which it could happen. Again, I agree with you. I would probably go Sung Yadong 29-28. Casey Kenney might have an argument to the first round, but again, I do like the 29-28 scorecard.
All right, I got the 30-27 for Yadong. Matt, I'm going to turn the closed captions on for us so we can get a bit of an idea of what they're saying inside the cage. But, yeah, I mean, overall, close competitive fight, though. Like a 30-27, but it's competitive. You love to see it.
Oh, yeah, and again, for Casey Kenney, this isn't it for him being, you know, a borderline ranked fighter. I still think he's got a good run left in the UFC. It's just, Casey Kenney, I never knew where his ceiling was. I just don't think he's going to be a top 15 guy forever. I think he'd be a really fun fighter and have a lot of really fun fights, but I don't know if he's a guy who we can expect to go out there and beat like the Rafael Sunsau's and the Cody Garbrandts of the world anytime soon.
We'll have to see what happens, but yeah, I mean, our whole conversation coming into this one was the fact that the bantamweight division is on the rise, and listen, it is the premier division now. It was always lightweight. It was light heavyweight years ago. You see the significant strike numbers far and away for Sung Yadong throughout the entire fight. Outlanded him by 30 in terms of total strikes. But again, you look at the significant ones still in the favor of Sung Yadong. And Michael saying if Sung loses, I'm calling it rigged. I think you're right. It all depends on the first and the third. But yeah, we've got it for Sung here.
Interesting to see what the scorecards are.
Yappa saying at best it's a 29-28 for Kenney. Bruce Buffer behind us.
Casey Kenney seems confident.
Yeah, Casey Kenney does seem confident. It's always fun to see it that way, but yeah, I mean, we've got it for Yadong. Let's see what we got.
Split decision.
Split decision. Yeah, you gotta be for Sung Yadong. I mean, that's ridiculous.
We just talked about before the decision, you saying Kenney could have won the first and third round.
We missed the first round, so it's pretty tough to say it that way. But listen, you've got the split decision win for Sung Yadong after that one. Holy smokes that it ends up a split. But yeah, the first round must have been competitive enough for a judge to see it that way. Yeah, assuming they didn't score the second for Kenney.
I don't know how we can get outraged over it because we didn't really see the first round, that's all. I thought Sung Yadong won that fight, and I will be interested to see who they match him up with next because we've seen him against those upper level guys. We saw him lose to Cody Stamen. We saw him lose to Kyler Phillips. So do they give him a top 15 guy next, or do they try to give him like a guy coming off Contender Series? Do they want to give him like a knockout win and then give him a really big opportunity first? Again, maybe not Contender Series, but you get the idea. Do they want to give him that highlight reel and then we're off to the races? Because he is still so young in his career. You don't really want to feed him to the wolves right now.
Marlon saying Sung won. I already won my bet. Well, that's good to hear from you. And what else? Peter Shea. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. We'll have to see how that one shakes out in the wash over there on the Instagrams. Now, I'm going to update the vote and everything that's over there on the Instagram. So for this one, we had 55% had Kenney, 45% had Sung, but at the start of the week, it was another one of those ones that was a 50-50 between the two of us. It was a great fight nonetheless, and I can't wait for the next one because it should definitely deliver. It's premier strawweight action, Matt, and I know it's a rematch that, do we need to see it happen? Maybe not, but it is a fight that we're going to get. And again, when you get a win here, you have to think like top 7, top 5 is next for the winner of this fight.
They've both lost to everybody in the top 5, top 7, though, and that really sucks. These are two of the more I don't want to say weathered, but definitely two of the more credentialed fighters in this division. They both fought everybody. And for Tecia Torres, I never really know how good she is in the UFC. I don't know if she's somebody who is, one good run away from potentially getting a title shot, or if this is just kind of what she is. I think she'll be able to at least be physically strong enough to hold Angela Hill up against the cage, and that's really what this fight's going to come down to, as they show Roger Clemens. Wow.
Roger Clemens. Blue Jays, great. As we get set for Tecia Torres and Angela Hill. This was a fight that was originally booked for UFC 256. Unfortunate that the protocols that they are. You had Hill out, Sam Hughes in. Unfortunate for her, the eye injury that she sustained in that one, but she was all right. She'd come back and fight another day. And for Angela Hill, she's had an interesting path back, not just to this fight, but in her second tenure in the UFC. So over in the comments section, Michael is saying Hill could surprise. Peter Shea is saying Torres. Coming into this one, we both had Torres to get the win.
And I still think she's going to be able to. I think her overall takedowns and just grappling ability is going to be able to win her this fight. Angela's great when she's the offensive grappler, but on the defensive end, she leaves a lot to be desired. And I don't know if Angela Hill's the type of fighter who can go out there and stuff 11 of 12 takedown attempts. I really feel like that's the type of fight she's going to have if she's going to want to beat somebody like Tecia Torres.
Yeah, we get a little bit of a replay of McGregor and Poirier, and the thrill and the agony. And Matt, the thrill and the agony, truly for a guy with a broken leg that's still having a good time on the Instagram.
He is.
Still having a great time hanging out with the Biebers of the world. And not with the greatest Canadians, who you can find on screen. Now, Matt, again, when you look at this one, it was neat to see kind of the rebrand and the rebirth, if you will, of Tecia Torres in 2020. She was able to rack off win after win after win. Nicholas saying, Torres, it's been decided. Come on now. Hey now. But you look at it, she trains out of Pound for Pound Fitness, the appendage of one great team with, listen, I mean, Trevor Whitman, say what you will. He's there, but Justin Houghton working on some of that striking, former kickboxer in his own right. You saw Raquel Pennington with her during fight week, the fiance. But Matt, for Tecia Torres, she's one of those fighters where primary wrestler, but her boxing's continued to kind of advance and improve. I don't think that's what we're going to see out of her in this fight.
Okay,
Maybe
I'm glad
it
you
is.
said that.
Maybe it is. But it is something that you like to see, again, a fighter kind of working and building on some of those skills, just like we saw in our last fight with Song Yadong. His takedown defense, it continues to get better. For Torres, her striking's gotten better. So I'm eager to see what we get out of this fight. It's going to be Torres, takedown heavy right out of the gate. Is she going to play that striking game? Because odds are she gets outstruck, especially at range.
I think it's going to be a lot of them canceling each other out up against the cage. And that's not the favorite answer I'd wanted to give to that, but that's the one I'm going to go with. It's going to be a lot of, well, Tecia Torres is good at holding people up against the cage, and Angela Hill's not good at getting her back off of it. And I really feel like that's the position that we're going to see a lot in this fight. I wish we would see, like, a Tecia Torres goes out there and starts, she's sort of like, this is a Sam Hughes fight, but I really don't feel like Tecia Torres has the stopping power to really finish a lot of people in this top 15 of the division.
We get the Contender Series coming back August 31st. Sheffel versus Murtazakhanov. I mean, a lot of fighters here looking to punch their ticket to make it into the UFC. I saw that Hussein Askabov had signed to fight over on Contender Series. Then we've got Weeks versus Quinlan. Chidi and Joe Kawani, former Bellator great, looking to punch his ticket into the UFC. I can't wait for that one. Muin Gafurov got a big fight coming up as well. But, man, Chidi and Joe Kawani, I can get behind that one. His brother Anthony used to be in the UFC. Chitty Bang Bang was the guy that, man, like, he made it almost to the top of the heap of Bellator at one point. So that's a pretty cool one. I can't wait for that one. UFC strawweight history. We're getting a bit of a lowdown there. Tecia Torres up there in terms of the win count. Oh, and by the way, so is Angela Hill, tied with Rose Namajunas, your champion here in terms of wins in the UFC strawweight history. They've been around for quite some time, and we talked about it kind of earlier on, the fact that the average age of the strawweights on this card, you had 31, 36, 35, and 38. So they are some of the elder stateswomen of the division. But Torres Hill, 10th ranked, 12th ranked, a win probably propels you right up there. Kyle, Michael, both kind of going with that Torres feel. And again, coming into this one, pioneers of the division, some would say.
Without a doubt. And it's wild to say pioneers of the division because it's only been around for about 10 years, but it is the truth. Tecia Torres and Angela Hill very much helped build this division. And I would say the women's strawweight division is kind of the glamour division in women's MMA right now. Like, tons of top fighters. the top 3 could all have the belt at any time, and that's really what makes the division great. Like, we talk about bantamweight and lightweight and even light heavyweight back in the day. We talk about those divisions so glowingly just because of the level of competition within those divisions, and I might say Angela Hill hasn't beaten any top-level competition in the division. It's because there's like 10 legit fighters at strawweight, and you can't say that about a lot of divisions. Look at light heavyweight right now. There's some people in the top 15 we don't need to name, but you're like, wow, that's a ranked fighter. In the strawweight division, you can't say that about anybody because they are all absolute killers. I think this fight is either going to go one of two ways. You're going to get an exciting fight that Angela Hill wins, or get a boring fight that Tecia Torres wins. And as someone who predicted Tecia Torres to win, but also has to entertain you guys, I'm kind of almost hoping for an Angela Hill fight.
Angela Hill could do a great job. Again, you know how good her striking is. She was able to accentuate that her last time out. Big win over Ashley Yoder. Before that, split losses to Watterson and Claudia Gadelha, but you can make an argument either way.
Here's the problem, though. If you're having a close fight with Claudia Gadelha in the year 2020, I'm starting to have concerns because I think Claudia Gadelha is in that Jessica Penne, Karolina Kowalkiewicz category of, like, you're kind of past it. It's, you know, and that might sound harsh, but it's the truth. And you're an athlete for a long time, your athletic abilities are going to start to fall off. And I feel like Claudia Gadelha is one of those fighters who we've kind of seen the best of her in the UFC. And that was honestly the performance that made me start to doubt Angela Hill. It was like, okay, if you can barely outstrike her, then what are we doing here? I'll be honest, though. In her next fight, which was a main event, I thought she did beat Michelle Watterson. But it was weird. Going from beating Michelle Watterson in a 5-round atmosphere to then having a good but still competitive fight with Ashley Yoder is somewhat surprising. Like, normally, you have that big opportunity, you have your 5-round experience, and then we see your career kind of take off.
Well, let's go over to the comments section. Spenny Run saying, wow, minus 400 to go the distance. That's where you got to play this game. For Angela Hill, you look at it. Her last win by finish, Hannah Cyphers, no longer in the UFC. She beat Ariane Carnelosi. There was a really bad cut there. Competitive fight. You look at it for Tecia Torres. When was her last finish win? Well, it was her last fight, but again, you got to focus on the fact that, let's go back. Her finish before that, Juliana Lima, didn't really have the greatest UFC run. Decision Watterson, decision Andrade, decision Joanna, decision Zhang, decision against Marina Rodriguez. I'd like to see the rematch of that fight if she's able to get the win over Angela Hill. But again, a lot of decisions for both these women. That's why you're going to see the line right there.
Tecia Torres almost finished Michelle Watterson, though, and that's something that no one talks about. The ref was this close to stopping the fight because Tecia Torres had Michelle Watterson in back mount. It was just beating her head into the canvas. Like, Tecia Torres, if she is able to get top control on a tired opponent, I think could get a ground and pound finish. But again, other than that very specific situation, I agree with you 100%. I don't really look at Tecia Torres and think, okay, how is she going to finish her next fight when I try to predict her to win?
For Phoenix saying I have gone, but I wouldn't put money on him. The Nukes in Lewis's hands. I didn't have a QMK parlay this week. Hopefully it didn't rile too many people up. I just want to get back in the win column, and so far, it's been in the plus, so I'm having a good time.
I have a question for you, just pertaining to the main event, because I can admit this 100%. You have a much better read on Cyril Gane than I do. Compared to Gane's past opponents, do you think Derek Lewis is, like, the top guy? Like, do you think this will be a harder fight than the Volkov fight? Because, personally, I looked at Volkov as being one of Gane's tougher matchups in the division. Tall, rangy guy, can match his volume, good cardio for the heavyweight division. So, I'm just kind of curious to get your opinion on Gane in this fight.
To me, when I looked at that one, it was the size of Volkov, especially in clinch positions where we've seen him have a lot of success, especially with some of his push kicks and his rangefinders, the fact that he had the power. I thought Volkov was the toughest test you could give Gane outside of Stipe Miocic, outside of Francis Ngannou, outside of like a prime Cain Velasquez. But like to me, I look at that fight and that was a tricky one. Now, again, the great equalizer is power in MMA and in most things, in vehicles even. But when I look at this one, you got Derek Lewis with all that torque in tight. You got to watch out for that. I mean, listen, John Deere's, they're known for torque. So is Derek Lewis. So when I look at this fight, yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. But when we focus on this one, Matt, Tecia Torres coming in against a really tough out in Angela Hill. 3-2 is a 5-on-in for Hill. 2-3 for Torres, but it's a 2-fight win streak for the Tiny Tornado. Tecia Torres walking in the red mat. We'll flip it on over to our regular screen for the fight companion. Can't wait to get everybody's thoughts on this one because I have seen people to kind of flip-flop, but it seems like a lot of people going with Torres in this one. But you can definitely see a path to victory for the elder fighter here at 36, Angela Hill, who has that reach advantage. Didn't serve her in their first fight, but let's see what happens here. Normally in rematch situations, the first one wins again, but in this one, it's been a long time since that first fight.
You regenerate all the cells in your body, what, every 7 years? So these aren't even the same people. And it's very much kind of when we compare the second McGregor-Poirier fight to the first one. When there's that much time off in between a rematch, then it is really hard to really take anything from the first fight. Because Angela Hill has improved so much in her takedown defense and her volume straight in. Tecia Torres has become a much more complete fighter herself. So although I do agree with that, and I do see Tecia Torres winning this fight, I feel like these two fighters, especially Angela Hill, I should say, have evolved their games quite a bit over the years.
Yikes, I can't wait for that one. And in this one, I mean, for Angela Hill, as I reset, listen, she's had resurgences, she's had blips like those 2 split decision losses. This is a great opportunity for her to get a win over Tecia Torres. You steal the thunder of those 2 wins, albeit, again, Sam Hughes and then her last time out. You know, she's able to get the finish, but again, it's an unranked fighter. She was a really big favorite. It was in on short notice because originally we were supposed to get this fight. That was back at UFC 256. It's been a while. Again, over there in the comment section, we're talking Aldo, we're talking Munoz. But yeah, can't wait for this one at 115 pounds. You've got Raquel Pennington in the corner.
And Heather Jo Clark.
Tecia Torres, Heather Jo Clark. Takedown machine that we talked about last weekend.
Yikes.
We get set for our second fight on the main card. Thanks so much to everybody that's tuned in. Toss us a like. I know you're already subscribed, but if you're not, it helps the boys out. And we'll move in on our second fight here. Start that 5-minute timer. I've got this one over 2.5. I got it fight go the distance. I said that at the start of the week. Some people said make your picks. I made my pick too. You get your cake, you get to eat it as well.
I'm going to say, Craig, you've sat on some fences in the past that I've questioned, that's all. This should be a wild fight. And again, good push kick from Tecia Torres. The real thing Torres needs to do is find a way to negate the distance strikes of Angela Hill. And I know that's easier said than done, but you have to get the respect of Hill on the feet. You can't just let her throw a massive amount of volume in the middle of the cage for 15 straight minutes.
We're about 30 seconds in. Hill's looking to try and cut the range by using her right hand there. She did land one, finally, so good job there. But again, those push kicks from Tecia Torres, she looks like she's gone out there. Ooh, you got a Superwoman punch so far. Rob hitting us up in the super chat. Harry Kane's not going to City. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But again, with those side kicks, we've seen those employed not just more in women's MMA, but in MMA in general. Manon Fiorot's the first one I think of because that's just her go-to move. But so far it's worked well for Torres.
It has, and Torres is actually doing a good job of throwing with power. I know that's a weird thing to say, but she's putting a lot into her shots when she is moving forward. And again, that was the key. I said that right before. Get the respect of Angela Hill. Don't let her get comfortable on the feet because Torres is the one with the wrestling in her back pocket. So if I'm the one getting off first on the feet and I have the wrestling in my back pocket, as we see Angela Hill go for a takedown.
Little trip takedown catching the kick of Angela Hill, and Torres just trying to do her best to get out of a bad position. Hill trying to get on top. Torres trying to get back up to her feet. Can't grab the cage.
Interesting position up against the cage right here.
This is kind of a non-starter for either fighter as we got about 3 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the first round. Hill can't do much. Neither can Torres. Hill tries to crank her up. Torres really trying to win out in the wrestling. But again, it was the catch of a kick, a little bit of a trip, and you get Angela Hill winning out in a wrestling exchange.
It's been a very brief one, though. And the thing about Tecia Torres is that her size is going to be, I'll say, a disadvantage in this because of her center of gravity. The weird thing with Torres, though, is her physical strength for this division. I remember her fight going into the Andrade fight thinking, oh, wow, she could at least be able to match the physicality of Andrade. Now, that was not the case, but good job so far defensively from Tecia Torres of getting back up to her feet.
Angela Hill in a clinch position here. You've got Torres kind of winning out, and that was an interesting one because at the start of the fight, Torres was winning out on the feet. And then Hill was able to work in a couple of takedowns, whatever you want to call them. So that is a bit of a change from the norm, a bit of a deviation there so far.
Good leg kick.
Appreciate it. The buffer suit. And a nice right hand lands for Angela Hill as Tecia Torres looks to go full out.
And she's caught that kick a few times from Tecia Torres. But the weird thing is, when Torres is using her boxing on the inside, her hands are faster than Angela Hill's hands. It's when she is at distance. The reach is such a big advantage for Angela Hill. It's something that Torres having a hard time keeping up with.
Walked into a right hand, did Angela Hill. And for Tecia Torres, she's trying to kick, lands a kick on the back leg there in that opportunity. And the talent out of Fall River, Massachusetts, unfortunate for Fall River that the CS main event fell out there the other day. You were supposed to have a big-time fight between Rakeem Cleveland and your guy, Yorgan de Castro, but de Castro wasn't able to make it. So thoughts go out to him. I saw his Instagram post there. That sucked. Rob G, Matt didn't know about the late change in guard.
I was going to say, yeah, if I did know, I would have dressed up, but I showed up to Craig's house and he was like, things have changed.
Both of these fighters are going at it, a minute and a half left. Big takedown attempt.
Yeah, good
from
attempt
Tecia
for Tecia Torres. This has been a very weird fight. We've seen both fighters have success in the other strengths, so again, weird fight to score too.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one because Torres came right out of the gate, guns blazing. Angela Hill just continues to land that right hand. Surprised she hasn't pumped the jab out there a little bit more.
Yes, so am I. And again, Tecia Torres is the one landing a lot of shots, but Angela Hill's, I would say, has the better cardio out of these two just because of her elevated output. So, again, this can be a really, really weird scorecard by the end of her.
Really tricky one so far. 50 seconds remaining in the first round. I'm eager to see the scorecards if we make it there, but I'm eager to see how everybody scored this first round. I'm also surprised out of the spinning back fist attempts to close distance from Torres a la Marabdashvili.
It's tough. It's not a great look.
Takedown attempt from Torres. Doesn't get it, but it gets her into boxing range.
She landed a good combo there in Angela Hill. She landed some powerful strikes in close.
Good job on a push kick there from Torres as well, who's just spinning and bouncing.
Again, a very high level of output from both these fighters in this first round. It's been weird. Torres, I would say, is getting the better of a lot of these striking exchanges.
Torres doing a good job. Angela Hill starting to try and cut her off in the cage. Torres lands one of those kicks to the back. That's a little bit of a weird one. Torres continues to pressure it. 5 seconds remaining. Hill going for the takedown. Doesn't get it. Nice right hand there from Torres at the end of it. I'm eager to see everybody scores. Like I said, I mean, Phoenix saying I'm loving how much Tecia's worked the body this round. She's worn on Angela Hill. It's interesting as well if we get the total numbers here. 39 total strikes for Torres to 21 from Hill. But again, Hill was the one working in some of the wrestling in the early to mid points of the round.
I don't think it was enough to win her the round, though. Again, I'm a firm believer. No, I'm not a firm believer. This is the truth. You don't get points for getting takedowns and doing nothing. You get points for getting takedowns and doing things. And yes, it was a really good job of her timing the kick. And honestly, I would say the more important thing of that fight with her takedown attempts is the fact that she was able to catch that kick 2 or 3 times. That's something that she'll probably be able to do more in the second and third round.
Now, Matt, we're going to find something out because we're about 30 minutes in, and knock wood, the stream hasn't crashed yet. So that's what we're looking for.
Why even bring it up?
We'll flip on over to our main view. We got some 1-0 Torres, 10-9 for Torres. Peter's saying exactly, Matt. I'm glad you brought that point up.
It makes me really upset because, yeah, someone can take down with 30 seconds left in the round, not do anything, and Joe Rogan's like, well, they're champ, right?
And he's not here today.
I know,
He's not here today. Oh, I made a mistake.
Wow.
That was a Craig Allen mistake, and now we get set for our second round. Apologies where they're due. Martinez Nation saying live betting is super in favor of somebody. Let us know who it's in favor of.
Why is Tecia Torres throwing so many spinning back fists?
Don't need to yell that much, but when we do look at it, yeah, it is an odd one. We've got those live tweets. Man, she is really employing a lot of kicks to the body, but the spinning attacks just trying to avoid, get out of the way. It is a little bit of a surprise considering you're going to expend a lot of energy. Torres is doing a great job in these striking exchanges.
Well, just the fact that she is having success in the regular striking exchanges. So why would you waste your energy going for a bunch of spinning back fists you can get countered off of? I understand you're throwing different looks at your opponent, but again, I don't think she's done enough, or she hasn't even come close to it, I should say.
Really nice left hand landed there for Angela Hill. Minus 700 is the line for Torres. We're only through one, so a little bit of a surprise to me. Walker Scott saying that you love the push kicks. Same here. And again, it's axe kicks to a taller opponent. A little bit of a surprise there, too.
Almost landed it, though, which would have been even more spicy. Good right hand by Angela Hill, though.
Torres eats a couple when she goes for the kick, and it was easy for Hill because Torres went for the plan of a kick, almost like the old Casey Kenney.
Well, it's wild that the arms of Angela Hill are like the length of the legs of Torres. But Torres doing a great job boxing backwards.
Really nice right hand there from Torres, and then circles away from the corner of the cage. And we talked about it in the build-up to this fight. You thought that for Angela Hill, she's going to have success, maybe a little bit of pressure, maybe a little bit of that plum clinch like we see her do in a lot of her fights. Hasn't been able to do it. And the one time that she did in that first round didn't really work for her. Push kick there from Torres and another attempt that's caught from Hill. who might go for a takedown but lands a nice right hand.
And Torres is doing a good job of making sure she responds with power when Angela Hill does land on her. She's not letting Hill get comfortable in the pocket to where she will just start unloading with 11, 12 shots in a row. So Torres is doing a really good job of keeping Angela Hill offbeat, and that's really the key when you fight Angela Hill.
Hill going for a takedown attempt. Is she going to be able to get it? She gets the back. Torres working the hands.
Torres doing a good job getting up against the cage. Where's she going to be able to defend this?
Torres really trying to get away in this exchange. And again, a bit of a surprise because normally what we say, you look at the fighter that's trying for a takedown in a striking heavy fight, maybe they're losing some of the exchanges, and it looked like Hill was doing a pretty good job there.
I don't think so. I think she's lost a lot of these striking exchanges, to be completely fair. Angela Hill's a fighter who, again, you might have said she has some of the best Muay Thai in the UFC, and she hasn't really displayed that in this fight. I feel like the hand speed is really a problem for her. The range is great, but once fighters are able to get on the inside of her range, you can tell that the hand speed does become a bit of an issue for her.
All right, we got about 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in our second round. It's been a competitive second round. First one seemed like the consensus was a 10-9 for Torres. It was close. She was able to outland in that one. Angela Hill working in some of the grappling. And here, again, it's been the combinations for Torres.
Yeah, it really has been. Those have been the key. And it's not like she's doing anything that wild. It's not eye-catching or anything, but...
Whoa!
Good.
Spinning back
Right
kick.
when I say it's not eye-catching. Again, I'm kind of surprised to see the amount of spinning techniques out of Tecia Torres in this fight. She's throwing a lot of spinning back kicks and a lot of spinning.
Whoa! Just picking up the upper body of Angela Hill and throwing her into the cage. She is doing a great job and really landing in the clinch. I mean, this fight is not going anywhere near where we thought it would.
No, it's really not. But Tecia Torres, again, her striking, it's made a lot of improvements, and it really is showing in this fight. Because Angela Hill, one of the better pure strikers in this division, at least from a volume standpoint, and the fact that Tecia Torres is able to match that's been really impressive.
You get the total numbers. Torres is up in this round once more and starting to throw some leg kicks here to mix in with the boxing.
And for Torres, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more offensive takedowns from her. I guess she's done a really good job in the striking, so why would you change it that much? But again, this is a different version of Tecia Torres than the fighter who we saw in their first fight.
You got a jump from Angela Hill. You got a right hand from Tecia Torres that meets her in the middle. Torres doing a great job here so far. 50 seconds remaining in the round. Is she starting to slow down a little bit? She took her time to reset.
I don't think so. I think both these fighters are starting to slow down. They've both been throwing up very high level of output.
40 seconds remaining. You got a right, left, right there from Tecia Torres. The old Holly Holm special. 34 seconds remaining in the round.
And again, for Torres, if you're able to get this round under the bank, and if you think that you won this round, again, good right hands. Yeah, Angela Hill's walking into some big power shots.
We're trading in the pocket here so far. 20 seconds remaining. It's a head kick that misses from Hill.
Yeah, Torres looking great on the feet so far.
Ooh, you got a spinning back fist that lands to the chest area. Whoa! Spinning wheel kick from Torres that misses. You're going to have Hill end up on top with about 7 seconds remaining. If that seals it for a judge, they are insane.
Yeah, that was really impressive from Tecia Torres. Again, I didn't expect that level of striking especially, but she's looked phenomenal in this one.
46 and 91 favoring Tecia Torres are those total strikes, and Phoenix saying, isn't Torres a black belt in Taekwondo? Yeah, she's been able to really do a great job. Phoenix, just pause it. You know the drill. But so far, yeah, I've got a 20-18 for Torres.
I would agree.
It's been a great fight so far. This has been one of the best fights we've had, and we've had a great night of fights. I'm loving this one.
Yeah, it's been a really good fight so far. I still think physique Bobby Green's been better, but it's been a good one.
Just throwing down and exchanging fists, and it's been a great one so far to watch. Hill, getting up off the stool. You got a 29-28, we're in agreement?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Matt, we get set for our third and final round of action.
29-28. No, I've got a 20-18.
20-18. Tecia Torres' feisty. J Money is saying we get set for the last one here, and I can't wait for it because it has been fast-paced. These gals going at it for, I mean, everything's better or bigger in Texas. Is it going to be 75K again?
I don't know. Did anybody say that?
No, I didn't hear it. I don't listen to much.
Oh, fair enough. Again, Angela needs to finish in this. I don't expect her to go out there and be able to get enough volume to get a 10-8 round in her behalf. So she really is going to have to try to get a really dominant top position, rain down some really crazy ground and pound. Just do something to get the judges back on your side.
All right. Lil Pose is saying, Kenney killed the parlay. That was a tight fight. Ended up a split. A little bit of a surprise there. Rob G. I still don't think it's going to happen. You might want it to happen. Ari had a great year last year. Torres working on the outside. Hill really trying to pressure in this third. She knows she's going to go out and get it.
But she's pressuring and then just eating a lot of shots. And it is really weird to see Angela Hill just trying to resort to a lot of takedown attempts.
Really doing a good job landing the right hand in that clinch exchange. She's going to be working those long knees. She got underhooks from Torres, who's just been able to throw Hill out of the way when it's been in the clinch.
Well, just because of those underhooks, it's giving her the leverage that she needs.
Could end up being one of the most underrated cards of the year. CW Pooch, that's a great point because I did see people in the comment section kind of downplaying the fact that we lose Nunes and Pena. Say what you will about it, but it's a title fight. It's
that
a
made
title
the pay-per-view
fight.
better.
However, it's one of those ones where name value wise, are they going to make you fork your coin out? I don't know, but I've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, it's been a really good pay-per-view so far. And again, I feel like most of the controversy has stemmed from the fact that they threw an interim title on this main event. And listen, it's hard to have a pay-per-view event just headlined by Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane about nothing. But I still think this is going to be a great card. The next three fights are all insane. We've got a Vicente Luque, Michael Chiesa matchup. Jose Aldo, Pedro Munhoz, and of course Cyril Gane, Derek Lewis.
330 so far into it. Torres has bested her overall significant strike totals, and they are going at it. It's been a close affair here in the third round. Both gal really landing their own shots.
Excuse me. And for Angela Hill, she needs more of what we saw in the first 30 seconds of this round. Make it ugly. Try to get Torres up against the cage. You're probably not going to win this fight if you just keep on trying to exchange close-range power shots.
I mean, for Angela Hill so far, really seeing her push a pace in the third round. And we've seen her, again, nice spinning back fist attempt there from Torres.
Yeah, but she ate a right hand from Angela Hill when she threw it.
Moved away from it in the third round. There we get to see it. Hill's starting to land in some of these exchanges. She's doing a good job.
She is, but I think it's too little too late. I don't think she has enough time in this round to at least get a 10-8 unless she's able to get a finish.
We're about halfway through our third and final round. Let us know in the comments section who you've got so far in this fight. But I mean, for Tecia Torres, she's just been able to land and land and land.
And there's a bit of a mean streak to this Tecia Torres. She's sitting down a lot more on her shots. They do seem like they're a lot more damaging shots. I know she hasn't dropped Angela Hill, but when she's landing those power shots, she is getting a reaction out of Hill.
Yeah, doing a good job here trying to fight away from the cage. Now she's able to push a little bit of the pace, but Hill landing her own shots. And again, so far we talked about it in terms of takedown attempts. It's been pretty well all Hill, which might sound strange, but now you get Tecia Torres, who she's got 2 minutes left to work. Hill's pushing it. Maybe we see one, but we haven't so far.
And again, I just think if Tecia Torres doesn't get finished, she's already done enough in this fight to probably get the decision from the judges.
Nice,
but we're in Texas. So
nice knee to the body from Hill. And every time that Torres goes, maybe overextends herself, she's able to land with a little bit of a counter there. So whether it's from Orthodox or Southpaw, it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, Angela Hill now passes Joanna Jędrzejczyk for most fight time in the UFC strawweight history.
1 reign in the UFC and 2. That's crazy.
That really is wild. For Angela Hill to be around for as long as she has been, it really has been impressive. People thought after she went down to Invicta that was going to be it for her, but she's really been able to go on a really good run after she's come back.
I'd love to see it. They post the Tecia Atlas tweet, and I talked about it in the build-up to this fight. I'd love to see a little bit more from Tecia Atlas. They had him on the broadcast for the last pay-per-view. Bring him on more. Max is great, but we need more Teddy. Minute remaining here in our third and final round between a couple of wiry strawweights that have just gone at it for the full 15.
I would not describe Tecia Torres as wiry whatsoever.
Well, just one wiry.
For Tecia Torres, again, don't get finished. You probably got this one in the bag.
Torres got a little bit of time here. Angela Hill with 41 seconds remaining more than likely needs a finish.
I would say so, but again, for Tecia Torres, this is a great, this is the best win since her losing streak. So for Torres, this gets you back to where people thought that, this gets you back to where you were before the losing streak, sorry.
Matt Tim McCarvering it.
With Angela Hill, though, again, the fact that she's never really beat any top-level fighters is going to start catching up with her. I don't think she did enough to beat Tecia Torres today, and I don't really know who you fight next if you're Angela Hill.
Late takedown attempt there from Torres. Hill trying to get the back on the Wizard. Torres hammering away with 10 seconds remaining here from almost the man of crucifix position. Hill getting out of it, back up to her feet. Not a lot of top pressure there.
Really great performance from Tecia Torres, though.
Great performance from Tecia Torres. In a fight like that, maybe you have an argument in the third. I've got it 30-27 for Torres there.
I would agree with that scorecard, without a doubt. I'd be very surprised if we saw a split.
137 the total strikes in favor of Tecia Torres, with 127 of them being significant. She best a personal record in the 90s. Let us know in the comments section who you got winning that one, but that was a lot of fun right there.
That was a really good fight. It was better than I thought it would be. And again, Tecia Torres' striking has improved way more than I ever really thought it could get to. And her hand speed's gotten a lot better, too.
Shouts to Justin Houghton there at Pound for Pound Fitness. We've seen a lot of fighters starting to come through that P4P moniker. So maybe you'll see that more in those Fight Night Picks graphics. But we always love to give shouts to the corners and the improvements in the games. We talked about it for Lupi Godinez. She trained there before a fight with Jessica Penne that she won.
You gotta stop with that, Craig.
So we'll see what we get for a decision in this one. Buffer's in pretty quick. We'll see who's got the win, but he's not giving any away. So, yeah, J Money saying Torres won that one easily. Bit of a conversation with Mike Beltran as Bruce telling everybody where to go.
So who would you like to see Torres get matched up with next?
Let's bring up the rankings just so we can see. We'll wait for the decision from Bruce, and I will 100% answer your question, but yeah, you have to think that Torres won that one. Let's bring up the UFC rankings.
Probably safe to say.
All right. Is there going to be any controversy with this one? You have to think. Yeah, Tecia Torres getting the win there. She is victorious in this loaded strawweight division. If we have a look at it, though, I mean, ahead of her, Watterson coming off a loss. You got Gedalia. Do you make that one? Nina Nunes? Could that be a fight?
That'd be a fun fight, honestly.
That's probably it. I don't think it's Dern. Rodriguez coming off a big win. Maybe you bump her all the way up and she gets Yan Xiaonan, who's at 4. Like, would that be all that crazy, though?
I'd be surprised, personally, but I really don't think Tecia Torres has done enough to justify, okay, the next win is now title shot. I think, who was the first one you brought up? Sorry, not
Nunes?
I think the Nunes one would be a really good matchup because for Nunes, we don't really know where she is in the division ever since she has come back. So honestly, I think that Torres fight would be phenomenal.
We'll have to see what happens, but she picks up one of the bigger wins of her career, which is kind of crazy to say it that way because it's been a great one so far. And for Tecia Torres, you look at the entire body of work. I mean, she lost to Carlos Esparza on tough. Beats Magana, beats Hill, beats Jocelyn Jones, Liebarger. She's got wins over Beck Rawlings, Juliana Lima, and Michelle Watterson. Now a 3-fight win streak over Van Buren, Hughes, and a big name in Angela Hill. So I can't wait to see that one. Drago saying it's weird when the corner knows that they lost, but the fighter's still raising their hands. Listen, you got to be a forever optimist, I guess. But Matt, Heather Jo Clark in the corner, making all the difference.
Oh, without a doubt. That's why Tecia Torres won this fight, without a doubt.
Yeah, Alex saying, do you think it's going to be over 2.5 rounds in the main event? I'm not giving you any locks, but I think so. I've got Gane to win. I think it's going to be in the later stages, if it's not by decision.
I would agree. Like, Derek Lewis can knock anybody out at any second of any fight, but